always by Melissa Blum and Megan Collins. Thanks, guys. Hi. Okay, we have a lot to talk about today, as always. A lot happening in the world of social media. I don't have a canned drink, guys. Not fair.
no.
Um,
Okay. Well, cheers to you.
Thank you. I have my water.
You
Hydrating.
have an Awala because you're Gen Z.
Mhm.
I have a Hydro Flask, or not Hydro Flask, a Stanley because I'm a millennial.
It really is. This is not a topic for today, but I was just at, like, when I go to my workout classes, it's very interesting to see what brand of water bottle each person has.
What do you have, Melissa?
Thank you for asking. I have an Oddwalla. Do you guys know that one?
No.
Where is it? Let me see if I can grab one. Hold on.
Do you know about Frank Green, Emma?
Yes, I feel that hasn't made its way to my workout classes yet, but I feel like it's like the cool girl.
Yeah,
This is
my
not
friend is a buyer for college, and she buys all of the So you have an Awala with stickers on it?
No. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, it's not Owala. Owala.
Koala. Yeah.
I have an adult version. I'm not sure where it is, but this is my son's. And actually, funny enough, this is like actually sold. I think this is branded for the school. So this is from Spirit Wear is what they call it, which is a whole nother interesting sort of in like a micro community setting, like of merch. It's like, all that. And guess who is doing the merch for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade next year?
You?
I am. Well, I'm on like the team. I'm
That's
joining a
fun.
team of experts that have already been doing it. But anyway, the point being is that this water bottle is great, largely because it's like the straw. There's no straw function. It's kind of like built in like this, so you can sip it straight up. You don't have to tip it, and there's no like insert thing that has to come out or get cleaned at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's the smartest part about it. So I was influenced to buy it at Target through
For the
school.
school. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's very, very interesting. They got you.
they totally got me, and
Influenced by your kid.
I think the price point was right too.
They're a good price.
Stanleys I find to be extremely overrated, primarily because they spill.
Mhm.
Like, they spill all over, like, even if you have it sort of upright. Like, I just don't know why the functionality.
And the balance of the bottle is off because it's so top heavy. It's so easy to knock it over.
Mhm.
I drink a lot of ice, and so I feel like that helps because, like, it's all at the bottom. But I also don't bring my Stanleys anywhere. They're just, like, at my house. So,
Like a stationary thing. Yeah, that's
yeah.
actually, I think that they look good aesthetically on calls. Don't have one. This is my situation. I have a lot of metal straws, and I make, like, iced coffee, and I do my matcha in this, which is egregious to any matcha drinker, but that's what I do. And then my trusty Spindrift, the best seltzer on the market. Love you, Spindrift.
If you can't tell, we have beverages and like drinks on the mind this week, in particular because Megan is working on a piece for MT Deco this week. It'll be running this Thursday, all about beverages. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, check out Cool Shiny Culture's cultural curve because they've been on the like rise of beverages
Still plug, Emma.
for a while now. I had to.
Please wait, what is the name of it?
I
Cool
think it's Cool Shiny Culture.
Cool Shiny Culture. Speaking of merch and being influenced.
Okay, so first item on the docket, Melissa, you sent this in to me this week, and it's this real simple article, The Rise of Parallel Play Friendships. So if you're not familiar with parallel play, it's a child development concept, and they're now applying it to adult friendships. So it means spending time together while each person is doing their like own thing independently of the other. And it's like a nice break. You don't have to converse. You're getting stuff done. But you're doing it with a friend sitting next to you. Do you guys do this at all?
Yes and no. I feel like I tend to like if someone's around, I talk to them. It's like a little bit complicated that like we end up usually interacting. But I have done it. I feel like I did a lot more during the pandemic.
Mhm.
Um, like we would actually be like, let's get together and like not talk to each other. But I also really like spending time on my own. So I feel like I'm not the best person to ask.
Um, I think this is like sort of a funny question. I actually don't think that I'm doing parallel play as much. Um, but this article like made me laugh in a couple different ways. I think it actually has inspired me to do parallel play. Like again, I'm a working mom and I'm running around with a laptop often. So even to be able to like grab coffee, but like do it in a very lo-fi way next to somebody where you can like just feel like you're in like a high traffic area and like you're with a friend, feels good to me. So I like love that idea. I used to do that for studying in college. It like reminds me of that time of my life. Um, and so there's that angle of it. Um, Part of like what kind of made me laugh about this is that among my friends here, like mom friends and families that we hang out with, we kind of think the dads do parallel play. Like even when
Yes.
they kind of do it. This is where like it sort of became kind of funny because it's almost like when we hang out with families together, you know, it's inevitably we have 3 kids and they're 3 different ages. There's like 8, 6, and then 2. There's another family we're friends with that has the same lineup. And so inevitably, like you want the kids to go off and play by themselves, but the 2-year-olds are like very demanding. They're both boys. They want to like play baseball. And it was sort of funny because over the weekend we were joking that like my husband, the other husband, were both stuck playing catch with the 2-year-olds and like hanging out, but like not talking. It's like parallel play, you know? I also was like kind of thinking it's like a different interpretation of it, but I've started playing mahjong. And I kind of feel like that's a little bit parallel play too. Even though there is interaction, you kind of I'm not at a level of it where I'm like I have to focus. Like I can't really like just carry a conversation through a mahjong game. So it is interesting. It's like you're playing, you converse, but it's a different feeling than when you're like having a full-on conversation engaging with a friend, you know?
Mhm.
So I think it's healthy hangout, honestly.
Yeah. Me and my friends parallel play a lot. I didn't realize until I read this article.
That makes me laugh.
I didn't know there was a term for it. I don't have a kid, so I wasn't familiar with it as a child development term. But there's a group of 4 of us that live, 2 blocks away from each other. So how we parallel play is going to like a happy hour and we each bring a book and we get appetizers and drinks and we're all reading a different book. And like we'll take
That is
breaks.
hilarious. Oh my gosh, I love that.
We'll do like I feel like it's like 30 minutes. 30 minutes of like quiet heads down reading and then like somebody will get antsy for a little bit and then we'll be like 10 minutes of chit chat and then we're back in our books.
And it's all different books. It's not the same
All
book.
different books. Funny enough, we're all in the same book club. So like sometimes a couple people will be reading our book club book, but for the most part, we're all like pretty big readers on our own. So like the book of the month is just like one of many that the
I'm gonna
girls are
steal it.
reading.
I'm gonna do
Um,
this.
it's so much fun. It's like, and
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, how does it start? Is someone in the chat like, hey,
yeah, it's
does
very,
y'all want to read together? Or like, is
yeah,
it,
it's very spontaneous. It's kind of like whoever trickles in will trickle in. Like there have been times, I'll just be like, "Oh, I kinda wanna go get a coffee." Like, I feel like I want the experience of, like, going to the cafe, and I was like, "Oh, it's nice out, let me bring my book." So I'll go and be like, "Hey, I'm going to, like, blah, 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 and, like, I'll be there in, like, 10 minutes. I'm bringing my book if anyone else wants to come." And it's, like, very cash. Sometimes, like, everyone's busy and, like, whoever kicks it off is just, like, by themselves, but, it's like pretty like low stakes, spontaneous. And I feel like it's like a weekday thing, like after work, you know?
I think that really appeals to me. And I also think you helped me crack like what I found most interesting about this is the use of the language of something that children do. And just in
Mhm.
general, that's something that millennials do a lot. Like we tend to talk about ourselves as children. And like I think culturally, you could read that as like there's a lot happening around as a culture re examining our relationships to childhood and what that looks like and all of that. And I feel like what you're saying is like, there's something about friendship in childhood that is, like, just easier, and it is kind of the nonchalance and the, like, casualness of it.
Mhm.
I do big brother, big sister with an 8-year-old, so she's gonna be 8 this year, and so I'm doing a lot of observing children playing at this stage of my life, and the way that it's just, like, they see a kid who's about their age and they're like, "That's it, make a beeline for each
Mhm.
other," and then they just start playing. They don't do the whole, "Hi, what's your name? What's your name?" Like, they'll just play a whole game. Sometimes they don't even speak the same language, like, one of them speaking Spanish, one of them speaking English, and then I'll be like, "Oh, what's your friend's name?" And then the friend will tell me, and she'll be like, "I don't know," and, like, we'll do the intros like adult to child versus, like, the children don't know each other, and so I think what's most interesting here to me is kind of this desire to have friendships that aren't so scheduled and structured.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm struggling with too, because so many of my friends are very much like schedule people and they
Mhm.
want to be like, what are you doing this day, this time? And then we'll put something on the calendar and the day rolls around and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this. But like, you got to go because that's your scheduled hangout time and it's going to be 3 weeks before you can get time with them again. And it just makes the friendship different than my friends where it's like, what are you doing tonight? You want to go do something? Like, it's just different and
Yes.
more fulfilling and just easier to manage on the day to day. And so I think that's kind of what I'm seeing the desire here is for just more casual hangs that
Yeah.
don't have as much like you don't have to do as much planning, you don't have to have as much buy-in. Like even when you said you and your friends all live within 2 blocks, I was like, that is a dream. Like I am trying to make friends who live walking distance because I feel like that'll just be so good for me.
It's it's helped fill the, like, gap that I experienced after college, where, like,
Yeah.
I lived with my friends as roommates, and then I had friends in my apartment complex, and it was like I would just walk into my best friend's room, we would do homework together. I was, like, never alone, and I'm an
Yeah.
introvert, and I didn't mind it because
Yeah.
I was in my own world. There was just, like, my like, somebody sitting next to me doing
Yeah.
their thing as well, and I think it's nice, you don't have to be on. Like, it's not like I'm getting dinner or, like, a drink where I have to have a conversation, and sometimes after work, you're like, "I don't wanna talk to anyone, but, like, I don't wanna be alone."
I don't wanna be
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. This is also kind of reminding me I feel like we have been on this thread of, like, conversation around examining relationships,
Mhm.
and, last week we talked a lot about, like, Hinge and, like, dating apps and whatnot, and, like, this conversation is also reminding me of I don't know if we talked about it, but I know I've shared the article around. I'm sure we posted it in Cultural Gems, and maybe we can resurface it for this when we post this on,
Mhm.
but I think it was I forget where it came out of, but it was called, like, it was, like, the confounding problem of, like, the middle friend, like, the middle friendship, and
Mhm.
so it's, like, this thing where, like, for your, like, closest, deepest friends, you understand, like, what that relationship exchange is. It's like you show up for them, like, it's kind of, like, written into culture. It's like, we're all trained, like, what do you do for your best friends?
Mhm.
And then for, like, the low stakes friends, it's easier because there's just, like, less requirement. It's a much lighter lift of, like, depth of, it's a higher, lower stakes friendship, but it's like the middle friends, and it's like these people that sort of become more, and it's like inevitably like someone is doing more, there's an imbalance, or like there's the expectations are unclear, and so you end up in this like murky water. It's like a perplexing problem. Like, how do you treat these middle friends? And I think it's just interesting hearing you guys talk about this, and like it's sort of this like interesting thing in society of like clearly we're craving this like lower stakes type of friendship, and it's almost like adults in like it's almost like instinct is to like formalize it more
Yeah.
in a middle friend. and like schedule and like do all this stuff. And it's like there is just clearly like if you examine kids, even kids who are 8, like, Teddy is 2, my youngest, and he's full on parallel play. Like, it's hilarious. Like, that's all he does all day. He's only capable of parallel playing. Like, maybe he's making my husband play catch with him, you know what I mean? But he's not engaging, he's not doing like actual play with kids yet, right? He's not at that development stage.
I forget he's so young because he's so athletic. So, like, and whenever you're posting him, like, it's not to scale unless there's another kid in the thing. So it's just like he's always maneuvering like really well.
He was drop kicking. I mean, look, my boys are both very athletic, and like Lucy is, she has her own thing. And so it's just sort of funny because I'll play catch with her and Teddy. And I'm like, please just catch the ball, Lucy. And Teddy will catch it and drop kick it to me. Like, but he does it over and over again. And it's just, that's what they want. It's like, it's weird. It's like, even before bed, they're like, please play catch with me. Please play catch with me. Somebody play catch with me. And I'm like, why do you want to do that? I don't know. Anyway, the point being is that like, there's even times where Wally, who's 8, is like, he's like friendship dynamic, like friends, tears of friends, understanding. We're full on in that second grade, end of second grade. And still, like, we'll go on a vacation and he'll sort of just like meld with another kid that is at the pool. And it's like unspoken. They don't even know their names, you know?
Mhm.
And like, I guess maybe the question is like, do adults need that too?
I think so.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think it's also, I mean, I guess I feel like this is like the healthy evolution. Like people talk about, oh, hanging out with my friend, and it gets to the point where we need like silent scroll time, and they'll just like silently scroll their feeds, like sitting next to each other. I feel like this is the healthier, more offline version of that. And it also feels like productive. I think like as an adult, even without like kids, it can sometimes feel hard to like do work, like do all the chores, all the shit you need to do, and then have time for things you actually want
Joy
to
to
do.
it.
Yeah, that fill your cup. And then also have time to see your friends. So this is like a two birds, one stone. And then it's very low pressure. And you're like, oh, I feel good. I hung out with my friends and like I didn't have to, like, it was very low effort for me.
It
It
doesn't have to
also,
be like drinking. It doesn't have to be like,
yeah, no, it could be whatever you want it to be. Like, sometimes we'll do it like at the park, like it doesn't have to be like going to a restaurant or a bar. What it could be going to your friend's house.
can I just say also on this before we change topics too? There's an article that I might have forwarded to you guys. Did you see it in Time? I think Time did it, Time Magazine, and it's talking about like what screen time is doing to people.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark, and it's just talking about like I only looked at the Instagram post and I looked at like the stats and the quotes, and I was like, like, and it's just talking about how screens have like stolen so many moments for all of us, like these quiet moments, these moments where of like reflection and like what and like it's rewiring brains. It's like this whole wild thing. And so just I think in the spirit of like this sort of undercurrent of like wanting to be back in real life experiences, IRL things, like I think this idea of parallel play, it's like I love this for society. And I think that it's something that like, you know, we're like many people are like I think the more that we talk about it and hearing Emma's interpretation of it is making me like, oh my God, like what a good idea. Like I'm just going to start putting my book in my bag. Although I don't really ever have time to do that, but
It's the best. And you can do two different things. Like a lot of my friends are either hybrid or like work from home. And sometimes it's like if somebody hasn't logged off yet, they'll be like, oh, I have to like answer emails, but like I'll just bring my laptop to the bar and they'll be working while the rest of us read, or maybe somebody's doing Sudoku or like whatever. It's like silent, independent play.
It's also like that's literally what they would do on the Friends TV show. Is like they would meet at Central Perk and just like sit and like hang.
yeah.
So you're living the New York fantasy, Emma. I'm so happy. I'm happy to hear it.
Okay, so next topic, article from Dazed. Nobody wants to be famous anymore. So a new YouGov survey just released, and they found that only 9% of Gen Z actually want to be famous, with a very small 5% aspiring to become influencers. And 79% of the generation said that they would prefer to live a private life. And this is quite a shift. They did a similar survey in 2010, so just 16 years ago, with 16-year-olds. And they found that over half of 16-year-olds wanted to be famous instead of having a traditional career. And a lot of them wanted planned on achieving this via reality TV, which is interesting. So it seems like Gen Z's fame aspirations have like majorly shifted as they've gotten older and into their 20s. Um, Megan, as our resident Gen Z expert, do you have thoughts on
I have
this?
so
Like,
many thoughts. I have so many thoughts on this.
I,
Um,
I know. I can't wait to hear Megan's thoughts. I'm like, I want to know what Megan thinks.
well, first of all, I take issue with the framing, but I understand articles need people to click them. So, like, nobody wants to be famous anymore, obviously, is very hyperbolic and oversimplified. And I'm actually working on a piece for Culture and Culture out this Friday. That's the 7 common discourse fallacies. It's going to talk about, like, all of these types of hot takes and why they're bad for society and the rhetoric and the narratives and all of that. And this is totally one of them. So,
Have
like,
you
just
please
like,
talk about it after you publish it? I'm
yeah,
like,
of course, of
oh
course.
my gosh.
So with this one, as a researcher, not as a person who needs you to click their article, I would say that this is more of a life stage shift than it is a generational one, in that you ask little kids what they want to be, they say doctor, firefighter, lawyer, movie star. Then you ask adults and they give you more realistic answers. So it's like, even that is like, obviously, they grew up and got more realistic. Like, duh. But I do think there is a real insight here about Gen Z not seeking fame. Um, but I also would question how much of that is because fame is no longer so intertwined with wealth. You can be famous and still have money problems, and that's become so clear. And so I wonder if, like, didn't read this article or this survey, but I wonder if that's really the underlying thing here. It's less about the fame and more about the money, because Gen Z does not love being in the spotlight socially. They're very socially anxious. And like we were talking about in the last article, like social interaction is something that they struggle with. So it makes sense that they wouldn't seek out the spotlight and be as drawn to fame for fame's sake as I feel like millennials are. Like, we low key just love the 15 minutes, and like the idea that you like get recognized for something is still attractive to us. But I think that's different for Gen Z because they've grown up in a ecosystem where fame is more like this article is saying, it's not all it's cranked up to be. But I think it's specifically tied to money. And I bet you that if it was rich and famous, 90% of people would still want to be rich and famous.
Megan, you're very smart because is brought up in the article, specifically when they talk about reality TV, and kind of like the craze that millennials had around Big Brother in particular, where you're surveilled 24/7, but at the end, you win tens of thousands of dollars. And they said contestants 20 years ago would be able to buy a house, a
Yep.
car, start saving up for their kids' college funds. And now the prizes haven't really gotten bigger. And now they're
Mhm.
like, it's not like I don't need 50 grand. 50, I can't do, what can I do with like 50 grand at the expense of like my privacy?
Yep.
Kind of like for the next however many years. It's not worth it anymore.
1,000%. And even like it used to be a thing where it's like we talk a lot about Ellen and how people say, and back in the days, what about you on Ellen? Very often, Ellen would also just give you a check. Like, it's like, thanks for coming, and here's $100,000, and here's a scholarship, and here's this, and this brand has given you a free lifetime supply of vans. So it's like, even the 15 minutes used to come with something that was worth it to you as an individual.
Yeah.
And now it just doesn't anymore. So I think I think it's that. And then my last thing is like, my big issue with survey data is that like people lie and they self-report different things than what the actual truth is. And Gen Z especially is big on performing and like they're overly nonchalant. And so I bet you more of them actually want to be famous than are saying that they want to be famous. So I'm calling there's a nugget of truth here, but people still want to be famous. If you went to up to 10 Gen Zs in the street and were like, I'll give you $1 million to go on this show, they'd be like, yeah, I'll do it.
Well, to that point also, I mean, I talked about this in my thesis at Columbia when I graduated from the journalism school, which is just, and this was now 15 years ago now. But just this idea of like how social media is changing what fame is, and it continues to, and it erodes it and it has evolved it. So if you like go back to like my grandmother used to be like obsessed with famous people, and she looked upon and was raised in like the golden era of like Hollywood, and it was like the movie stars and like the Oscars and all of that. And then at that point, like even in the 90s, it had eroded to like, it's like the tabloids and like there's more of like the gossip and then through the like the Britney Spears era and then the Perez Hilton and then into then like just mass social media like TikTok and all of that. So I think it's like fame has been diluted, like what it originally was. I think that channels of how people consume now, there are multitudes of them. Like it's not just broadcast, it's cable and then it's streaming and then it's YouTube channels and all of it. It just keeps kind of getting more and more sort of sliced and diced. So like I think the other thing I take issue with when it comes to the survey is like, what do you consider to be famous, right? Like, what is fame? Because it's not like a definitive thing anymore than in a way that it was 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. It's like, and like, I mean, one of the things we've talked about too, on like how, Netflix is like kind of becoming this like pathway for like big YouTubers and like YouTubers will end up like having a program on Netflix. You can be YouTube famous and not a household name,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I think that like it depends on like if like an individual's interpretation of fame. Like, is it Justin Bieber? Is it, Blake Lively? You know, is it Bethany Frankel? Is it like, George Clooney, like whatever. And I think I would just also say too, so it's like two-part. It's like an individual's understanding of fame. And then the other part I would just say that I think is interesting as it relates to money is that I think that like social media, even in the past like 10 years, has really opened up the aperture to like what real wealth can and could look like. Maybe not should, but could look like. And so this idea of like, what does old money evoke? What is luxury? And then things that have always kind of been behind like gates becoming more mainstream. Things like tennis, obviously tennis culture. I think country club culture. I think mahjong is like the newest example that has existed for many, 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 many years. You know what I mean? In different areas of culture. And like now it's becoming more mainstream. So I think it's just like really being able to delineate like, okay, do you mean fame? Do you mean wealth? In what way do you mean both of those things?
Yeah.
And like, can you separate that?
Yeah.
Um,
And this is
yeah.
surveys are can be so finicky for this reason. Like based on that feedback, if I was redoing the survey, I would suggest changing that question to A-list celebrity. And I bet you a lot more people would say that they want to be an A-list celebrity because that's different. That's more specific than being famous. And it speaks more to the social currency. Whereas like now being famous doesn't guarantee you the social currency.
I didn't really buy this when I read the article. My prompt for us is like, do we actually think this is true? Because I'm like, if you spend any time on social media, it's like not 5% of Gen Z. You're trying to tell me 5% of Gen Z wants to be influencers and the 95% don't? Like, no. Spend
Yeah.
5 minutes on my TikTok feed and you will, that is proven wrong. I
Yeah.
do think, Megan, you are right that Gen Z doesn't want to like publicly want things. It's not cool. Like the early stages of somebody trying to be an influencer, like many influencers have said, like when I was like just starting, I only had 1,000 followers. I was so heavily made fun of for like trying too hard,
Yes.
publicly trying too hard. And then of course, when they eventually like get the numbers, it's very, and the income that comes with being an influencer, it's not embarrassing anymore. But like Gen Z, he thinks they're like too cool for school and that they like don't want to like publicly try hard.
Yeah, you even see this with the creators who they venerate, like Emma Chamberlain. That's her whole thing of like, oh, I don't care. But it's like, you care so much, Emma. Like, but like she does the performance of just being so chill and nonchalant. Rob Roush, who's like the new hottest thing, he's like, oh, I don't want to be famous. Don't look at me. And it's like, you have to sign up for these things. Like, you hired a publicist
Yeah.
and like management. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like people are like coming down to your swamp and insisting that you work. Like, you're signing up for this. But it's the performance of, oh, I don't want this. It just happened to me. So
Yeah.
that's why you can't believe everything they say in a survey.
It's very funny. And I think even with like the summer house drama that we've been talking about, like it's always funny, like the criticism the female new cast members get compared, like the bar is just so much higher for women. They're like, she just wants to be famous. She's just in it for the followers. I'm like, they all are. Like, why do you think they're on Summer House? Because they just happen to be like in a share house in the Hamptons. There are plenty of people who do that off camera.
Yeah. No, I mean, with the summer house stuff too. I mean, I can see having been an existing cast member and then someone joins and it's like, well, we sort of got this set up and like now you're joining something that exists. There's a fandom that's already been built, but that also comes with its own like, you know, nightmare as well. Like, I mean, people who do like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette always talk about that. Like, once you get like into the fandom, yeah, like it's like this existing fandom and like you're either in or out. And, you know, obviously with even like the more recent like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, like Amanda was like has been facing like the fandom for like joining and you know, she's not a seasoned cast member. It's not easy to be new either. I will say one thing you were making me think of with this. I guess I didn't realize Gen Z's like not wanting to like try but not try kind of thing. Cause like I actually just caught there were a couple clips from the Skinny Confidential Him and Her podcast or the Bostics, whatever they call it.
Mhm.
And they interviewed the Stad guy. I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's like ridiculous, you know, just like it's like amongst the billionaires and it's like, you know, again, wealth and this whole thing.
Mhm.
But they were interviewing him and they were talking about like cringe and like building this account and whatever. And I thought he had some like good advice for people too. He said something that was like if I see something and I think it's cringe, I forget about it like 45 seconds after I watch it and it's moved on. And he's like, and then, you know, there were people that like gave him a hard time when he was starting it and they were like, what is this? I don't get it, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, he's like, I just like, you have to keep going and you just keep doing it and like thick skin or whatever. And I feel like I've even talked about that, you know, with us with MT Deco. Like, it's not always easy to like put
Mhm.
ourselves out here, go on camera. I'm obviously not great at that. And but I do think that like after a while, like just doing it and like the value that we get from it in so many ways, it's just like completely like over indexes like the cringe. Like I don't cringe what? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like if anything, I just wish it would like I think my LinkedIn in particular, I need to like work harder at it, but I don't like putting in the work on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I'm not good at that. But that's,
I also think cringe is often like miscategorized. Like cringe is a very it's like a personal feeling. Like it's kind of like the heebie jeebies or a pet peeve or a phobia, where it's like what makes you cringe is personal to you. So like being cringe is really like anytime someone is expressing themselves in a way that triggers you, that's like being cringe. But like that's not a value judgment on them and what they're doing. That has everything to do with you. And obviously young people are in a life stage where they're very like hyper aware of how people are interacting and what's cool, what's not cool, how they should be behaving. But like that's why I've always been like, who cares what Gen Z thinks is cringe unless you're actively trying to win them over for like some reason. That doesn't concern you.
Yeah, I think Megan, you are the expert on this, not me, but as somebody who's like a Gen Z millennial
I feel
customer,
like you're an expert at this point. You can take it.
um,
I know.
Why not?
You are. Look at
You're
um,
a Gen Z.
how
You
how brilliant.
forever. You pull all these articles every week. You write about it. You're an expert.
And I just a moment for Emma and her brilliance. Like
Yeah.
thank you guys.
brilliant. And Emma, I've known you my entire life, and I feel like this medium is such an unlock for you in ways that I like can't even. I feel like I come to this and I'm like I don't even know what I'm going to learn, and I learn so much, and I feel like you share so much and so insightful. Like, and the choices of the articles, like I just the most cup filling thing ever. Like,
Thank you.
You are an expert.
Thank you guys.
and you're an expert.
It's
Yes,
very
yes.
fun
Good point.
having it's very fun having an outlet for these conversations because I can with like my it's funny, I have my old friends who are late 20s, some of them are like 30, who are like very not they're not like keeping up with like clipping, which we're gonna talk about in a few minutes. And like cringe. They're like
Does
they're
anyone base this on how social media is changing?
no, they like, they like will they're I'm in like I would never let them know my screen time because it would just be like humiliating me. Um and then I have my like younger friends who younger, they're like 2 to 3 years younger than me, but sometimes it feels like there's a big gap. Um and they're like so in it as like they're just very solidly Gen Z, and I very much identify as a zillennial. And I feel like from the outside, the biggest difference I see in millennials versus Gen Z is that millennials are willing to like put themselves out there, whereas like Gen Z, I think, is terrified of rejection and like embarrassment, like to a like almost paralyzing degree.
Yeah, I would say that's the one of the biggest, like, detrimental things about being on the internet forever, and I actually think the problem is the parents, not even social media. That's, like, a hot take that I'm currently working on that, like but I see a lot of content that's, like, being filmed by a parent, and I can see the child clocking that it's being filmed, understanding it's gonna go on the internet, and I'm like, "Ooh, this child doesn't want me watching this." Even if it's not that embarrassing or, like, bad, I feel like that's where it actually starts. It doesn't start when they get their first social media account. It starts when they have a parent who doesn't respect their autonomy as a child to like not be recorded and posted and shared and perform in front of a camera.
Mhm.
And I think that Gen Z's parents were especially bad about that in a way that I think parents now aren't. But that's part of I think what contributes to their social paralysis around putting yourself out there, being cringe, and their kind of like contentious relationship with social media and how they show up on there.
Well, it's like when I was a child, I didn't have control over how I was perceived on the internet. So now that I
Yes.
do have control, I'm locking everything down. Or if I am posting, it's so low effort, like throw away, I don't even care, but deeply.
And also, like, when you think about it, like, you could have a traumatic experience with the internet that's not even like super public, where it's like, think about something embarrassing. Like, I'm sure there's photos of me as a child that I hate, or like videos that I'm like, don't show that to people that like get shown. And it's not like that bad. But if that was on the internet when I was like 13 and my siblings were able to tease
Mhm.
me and be like, look, someone commented, that would just like create something inside of you that like you grow up with that's hard to change, you know?
Mhm.
You know what, though? Okay, so I'm totally taking in everything you guys are saying, and I don't disagree. You know how I feel about, like, all of this and whatnot. I guess I have, like, just 2 thoughts, though. I think one, and this is something I feel like it's like we'd have to really mull on it and think about,
Mhm.
maybe, whatever, but I guess, like, I wonder if as time goes on, like, the broadcasting of stuff is gonna become less of, like, this, like, performative and more of, like, an extension. Like, right now, I feel like we're still in this phase where there's so much of, like, existence right now who have lived not in this social media world where it's like almost like Gen Z, Gen Alpha right now is just gonna like they're gonna be raised in it in a way that is completely like different. And again, it's like performative, but like is that relationship to social platforms, to like a camera, to all this like is the camera going to become not even a camera? Like is this going to like sort of evolve into like sort of a different kind of like dimension? So like I wonder if for example, like one thing that comes up for me a lot, like my son is very good at sports. There are a number of parents out there that are like have created accounts for their kids and they're like documenting their sports journey. And I think a lot of it is to build the case for college, for scouting, for I mean maybe that's the reason. You know, there's also like sponsorships and
That's
stuff.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
NIL deals are now such a thing that like sometimes it's not even about going to the best college. It's just going to the college that's gonna support your career as a professional athlete who can sell products.
Who can sell products. And so to that point, it's like again, it hasn't like I haven't gone so far as to the point to like connect it to my own son and like what this would look like if we were to do something like that for him. But, like, I think about clients that we work with and how if, you know, if you have a significant following, it's like a feather in your cap. It is. It is. Like, whether you're going to work for the Savannah Bananas and
Mhm.
you're Jackson Olsen and you are somewhat of an influencer already, like, you can negotiate a higher paying contract because you are bringing audience to that platform. It's the same thing with, like, you know, news broadcasters, right? Like it's like build like while you get exposure to people who are watching. Like I always say this to anybody who's a journalist. It's like build your audience while you have this exposure to huge TV audiences and like get the benefit of that while you're doing that. And then you can like create your own thing afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And so I just wonder like as a parent, as a digital strategist also, does it behoove setting up my son like in a way where like again if you guys can believe this, you know, we've talked about this. He's 8. Okay. We just signed up for advanced lacrosse. It's like a national thing. They start looking at and scouting and stuff in the next like 2 years.
Mhm.
And like, would it help him? Like, is this like, you know, even if it's like one,
From
I
what I
don't,
know of Wally, no, because he's such a stress case. And, that's what I was gonna say, that it's,
he
like,
doesn't, yeah, he's
so it's so dependent on the kid. Like, that's even something, like, I try to not follow kids on social media because, like, I feel like that, but every now and then, I come across a child where I'm like, "No, but this child wants to be here and wants to be performing and, like, was going to find a stage in life and, like, has found it very young, and hopefully the parents are doing a good job of creating the right environment around them." So I think there's no one size fits all answer, but I think it just depends on the kid.
yeah,
And I think from what I've never actually met Wally in person, but, like, I've
yeah.
heard so much about him, and from what I know, he's like me in that he puts a lot of pressure on himself and stresses out a lot, and I think as a parent of that type of kid, you don't wanna be.
It's like,
You wanna be the safe space where you're not adding pressure, but I get it that you're like, "But am I not setting him up for success if this is something that one day he's gonna be like, 'Everybody else's mom did this for me, where's mine?'"
well,
It's like
here's what I'll say. It's funny that you say that because yes, 100%. Like if I try to, like, let's say I brought him on here to talk to you, he would be like, he doesn't wanna do that.
well,
Like,
Emma
it's hard.
I, like, get an email the day before of, like, "This is what we're gonna talk about," and, like,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, Emma, thank God for like, we all need more Emma. But where Wally performs is on a field.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Or
but
out
It
know,
might
so
be hard if that's a factor because then he's thinking about this isn't just about this right now. It's about my mom's recording on the sidelines and I need to get this because this does better and people like when I do this. And it just adds a dimension to it that
I didn't
makes it
even
more
think of that.
complicated.
I know it, like, becomes not, like,
Like
enjoyable.
I would almost say you could do it secretly. Like don't tell him.
Like, do
Like if you were gonna do it, don't tell him about it. Like
there's, like there's this I mean, there's, like, so many of these influencer kids, and again, it's being fed to my algorithm, you know what I
yeah.
mean? But, like, a lot of them are, like there's a couple of golfers, like, this one girl, she's 10, and she is homeschooled, lives in, like, a country club, like, it's
Mhm.
amazing,
Yeah.
and she has so many sponsors, and, like, I talk about Baseball 101,
Mhm.
hails from Long Island, like, all their kid ambassadors, there's this kid, like, Swing with JoJo, and it's, like, wild, he's 10, and it's, like, he's getting batting practice in, and, like, this is what JoJo has for breakfast, and, like, whatever. You're right, like, that is not Wally, I would
At that point, it's more about their parent, you know? And, like, you obviously do this, you know, you can do this. You don't need to find fulfillment in creating a little
I
brand
don't
out
know
of
if
your
it's
kid.
fulfillment, I wonder if
But
it's,
that
like
I think that's what those parents are doing, though, because like, if you're doing that much that you created a whole brand around your child, you just like doing it.
well,
And, like,
what if it's building a community that then they, like, have the choice of taking over?
I don't think so because it's not theirs, you know?
Yeah.
It's still
Yep.
your community. It's your child as mitigated through your brand voice, which is, like, I think a thing like I had a very overbearing dad, and if I was growing up today, he would have definitely like I was in tennis, but I was like a stress case. And he put so much pressure on me that I would always get the yips. Like I was so good in practice and I could not win a game until he stopped being around for my tennis games and then I was winning. So I think
Wow.
it's
Oh, that's
just kinda you know, it's like it depends on the and some kids are probably, like, motivated by that. They love the pressure, like, Hannah Berner talks a lot about tennis, and her dad sounds like my
Mhm.
dad. She loves it. She's like, "Tell me what to do." Like, I love the pressure, I love the stress, so it's just so dependent on the
that
kid.
is so yeah. No, that's true.
I think you can kind of see this how it played out with the Kardashians of like they obviously like Kris, the momager of the millennium, and how like that resentment, like obviously their Kim eats it up. I think Kylie also eats it up. Like they were built for
Yeah.
this, like yeah,
He's got issues.
he
You
does
can
have
see it coming.
Kylie has issues. Yeah.
but they're like stars, right? And they work for that stardom. And then Chloe, similar to an extent. And then I see like Kendall and especially Courtney, how that kids that like don't organically or intrinsically want this and how that resentment builds
Totally.
until it
And
eventually pops.
and I worked on social media for Lumi and Kim Kardashian was an investor there. So I got like sometimes I would, get a trickle of gossip. And basically it's very competitive amongst the sisters. And if that's the case, Chris fosters that environment. And like when they were fighting, that's when I stopped watching because it didn't feel like entertainment. It was like, no, this is your family fracturing after all of the competition your mom's fostered between you guys, like finally coming to a head.
Yeah, it's almost like a shame that yeah, like it's they can't just like walk away from it, or like
They can't.
and it's been
But
so
they
embedded
love it.
long.
Yeah, I think they like obviously like financially they could. I think their ego it's too tied into their
I
ego.
don't know. I mean, I don't know if
In terms
all of
of
them financially could. I don't know. Like
yeah, they have a lot of overhead.
I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. I also think something you guys have to realize is that they like use their fame to further their own social lives in the Calabasas, like Simi Valley, like that whole area.
Mm.
Like they used to kind of be like, tacky, whatever, and now they're like the queens of that area. And I feel like that's what they care about more so than the general public on the internet liking them.
Do you think that that relates to Kim too?
Yeah.
I always just I don't watch the show anymore.
I think also she's trying to be more like a billionaire.
Mhm.
I mm, my completely tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is that something went wrong between her and Jeff Bezos, and that's why Jeff Bezos launched that, underwear brand with Sydney Sweeney and, like, was like, "I'm gonna come for you," and, like, Skims, but obviously it's not working. But I have a theory that there was, like, bad blood there, like, something was supposed to happen that didn't. Like they used to be really tight with Lauren Sanchez and now they're not. I don't
Mm.
know.
Maybe Kim was supposed to go up in that spaceship.
Honestly, yeah. Like something like that. Like,
Like Katy Perry took her spot.
yeah. But like, I think that's who Kim is trying to impress right now and rubbing elbows with and hobnobbing with is like the billionaire class, half of which we haven't heard of them because they pay to keep their name out of the press.
I feel like I just also wanted to say a plug for Skims. You guys, I bought my first Skims item last week, which I'm sure you're just like you guys are both eye rolling, but I
I
have
love
this new
it.
thing. Well, I have this new thing like after having kids, I don't know why. It took me until after having my third kid to do this, but like when I buy a bra now, I go to Nordstrom and I find somebody and I'm like, help me. I literally don't know what to buy. I don't know the brands. I know nothing. And like, I don't know my size. Like, my body has changed so much. And I don't have enough self awareness of like what I need. Like, I really don't.
Yeah.
I can buy a sports bra, but like, it's not like a real bra, bra. And so it's the most like, it's like, you want to talk about like one of the most high value things I've done for myself, like in the past 2 years. Like I bought 3 bras last year and then, or a year and a half ago. And then I was like, God, I need more. Anyway, I got a Skims one. It's an amazing bra. Like it's very, very, very high quality. I'm very impressed with the bra. But yeah, I feel like Kim, okay, well, so I hear what you're saying. What was it about this like more recent press though, where she's like given up trying to be a lawyer? Like why even like what was that? I was like, I'm confused. Like, why would you even say anything?
They probably just needed to give the press something instead of whatever the press wanted to run that day. So Chris was like, go with this. But we already knew this. She had failed the bar again.
Yeah.
And then she basically was like, I'm giving up. I failed the bar 3 times and I'm not going to take it anymore. And everyone was like, cool story, Kim.
I know.
Nobody
I
cares.
think it was her trying to take ownership of it because I think it's something like people used to make fun. Like she became a billionaire and like she started Skims, and I feel like she was getting like people weren't like discarding her as like she wasn't like a reality star. She had like moved into like this savvy businesswoman, which she is. And I think her continuously failing the bar obviously like
Not
didn't go on with that. Yeah, and I feel like it was like something people like used to poke fun at her. She can't pass the bar, and I think it was her trying to like own the narrative. But like
See, all I
she had nothing to say. Like
If I were Courtney, I would take the bar, pass it. That would be my new life's mission to pass the bar
love what
secretly. I wouldn't tell Kim I was doing it and then be like, bam, by the way, I passed the bar.
I don't know what Courtney should do, but she just doesn't her vibes are I don't know.
You just did an ad. We're going to talk about it tomorrow on Culture Briefing with Alabama Barker. Did you see this, Emma?
mm-mm.
She did an ad with Alabama Barker for Lemmy Gummies where like Alabama's the star and Courtney's off to the side directing it. And like she's like, who wrote this? And then Alabama does it in her own Gen Z voice. And like it's cute. It was cheesy, but I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Cute.
Good ad.
Okay, so looking forward to that tomorrow in the culture briefing. I won't spoil myself. I'll see it fresh. Okay, our last topic today. This very I highly after you listen to us discuss this, I highly recommend you read it yourself. It's The Feed is Fake from Vulture. Lane Brown, who's a features writer for New York Magazine, it did this great expose into the industry of content clipping. And we've like talked about it. We've definitely included it in our Monday Cultural Gems email. But if you don't know, companies hire clipping brands or clippers to like we could hire a clipper from this episode of Open Tabs, would give it to a clipper and they would literally like take 1,000 clips of it and then just like less than a minute or under, and spam them across thousands of TikTok accounts, Instagram accounts, YouTube accounts. So it's now like a common marketing practice for anytime there's a new song, a new movie trailer. A lot of the major podcasts do it. And it's enough that like if enough fake engagement accumulates fast enough on these clips, the real algorithm will pick it up and then push it to real users who will hopefully then, stream the full song or stream the podcast episode. What's really interesting, like I said, been tracking this. We obviously knew it was happening, but like this article goes into like how much of this is happening, which is like way more than I was aware of personally. I talked to this man who runs a clipping agency, and he estimates that 90% of what you see on the internet is advertising in disguise via clips. On a typical day, his agency was posting 50,000 videos across platforms in a single day. And he basically is saying, like, they talk about he used to have his clients on his website and then they got taken down. So this is like something that's kind of happening in the shadows. But every major musician, actor, podcaster, they're all clipping. And he said, if you're not doing it, you're years behind. So we'll dive in. This is like a very long expose. So you'll need like maybe a good 30 minutes to get through the full article. But do you guys have any thoughts on this at the top?